Welcome to the Heart-Led Business Show, where compassion meets commerce and leaders lead with love. Join your host, Tom Jacobs, as he delves into the insightful conversations with visionary business leaders who defy the status quo, putting humanity first and profit second. From heartfelt strategies to inspiring stories, this podcast is your compass in the world of conscious capitalism. So buckle up and let your heart guide your business journey.
Well, hold on to your headphones, folks. We've got Regina Hess, the financial guide with gleaming grit and groovy gusto coming your way. She's not only an ace in accounts, but a beacon for the Bay State families too. And guess what? She's mastered the art of multiplying money whilst merrily maneuvering the maze of matrimony and motherhood. Here comes Regina riding the wave of the wealth world on the Heart-Led Business Show. So buckle up for a belly full of business banter and a bona fide warmth. Regina, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Tom. That was an amazing introduction. That was awesome.
Well, you wrote it, so of course. It's awesome. Yeah, awesome. Well, I'm really happy to have you on the show. And I always like to ask the first question, what's your definition of a heart-led business?
I believe a heart-led business is something where you can help other people in their need while also doing the right thing for them and getting your own fulfillment out of it. Right? So by helping other people, you can satisfy your need for helping people, but also get them to a better place of where they're trying to be in hopefully a successful manner. Not obviously can't be 100% accurate all the time, but doing your best while helping them do their best. And also kind of going back to teaching them the fish along the way so they learn how to be successful on their own. And so they're not dependent on other people to be able to achieve the same results as they go forward.
I like that. That's getting your own personal needs met by helping others get their needs met. I think that's such a great message. And yeah, I wish more and more businesses were doing that. So tell us a little bit about your business and what inspired you to start a heart-led business.
So I own a financial planning and investment management firm in Malvern, Pennsylvania, and I work with professionals and their families and, doing their financial planning. Basically, how you get in a car and you have the GPS to tell you where you're going and how to get there and avoid all the accidents along the way. I do that. I guide people along the way for their financial journey. And hopefully we can avoid some of the accidents and pitfalls, or at least, try to minimize the damage along the way as long as we, stick to the plan. So that's really the nuts and bolts of what I do. I also have a niche where I work with people going through divorce, and mostly it's women, although I do work with men too, but mostly it's women because women tend not to have the relationships with the financial advisors and need a little extra help with the financial aspects of a divorce and figuring out, all the, here's the bucket of assets and debt that they accumulated. Now they got to split it into two and which assets are better in their pile versus the other pile.
Okay. Oh, that's cool. That's a really nice niche as well, because I'm sure a lot of people that's like one of those wealth destroyers, right? Is divorce. And if it's not handled the right way, it can really kind of destroy somebody's financial livelihood, right? At that moment anyway.
Yeah, it can. And I think the reason I spend so much time there is because I'm a product of divorce. My mom was divorced. She didn't have any kind of guidance whatsoever. So it was kind of a mess afterwards. So I kind of make it my mission to help as many people as I can to make sure that, they're making informed decisions about their, divorce agreement before they sign on the dotted line so that they know what their lifestyle could be on the other side of that divorce. And it doesn't mean that it's going to be a perfect lifestyle, but it basically empowers them with knowledge and some education about what they need to do and how they can live their new lifestyle.
Yeah, no, that's great. And so, Having a heart-led business is awesome. Being able to help other people as well. And I think a lot of listeners might be thinking, you're a financial advisor. Like, how is that heart-led? That's all numbers. Like, explain how being a financial advisor and working with numbers all day can also be a heart-led business.
Oh my goodness. It's funny. A lot of people think financial advisors only handle the numbers, and we do. We handle a lot of numbers, but there is a huge personal side of it. We are literally sitting and holding hands at times. When the markets are down, you have what we call the nervous Nellies. You're picking their fingernails out of the ceiling and you're talking them through those tough times to make sure they don't make emotional decisions and which would hurt their long-term impact. We're dealing with people when they're going through life transitions, and they're not fun life transitions. Obviously, we are there for the fun things like the marriages and the babies and things like that, but we're also there for the death. We're there for the divorces. We're there for, not just deaths of spouses, but deaths of children. And, getting somebody through that. You can't just sit here and talk about finances. You have to be human. You have to show them that you care to be able to help them with everything else. They have to know you care. And you can't fake that. You have to truly care
Right.
in order to show that for sure. For sure.
Yeah. Well, I think people.
So yeah, I spend a lot of time there.
Wow. Yeah, people can definitely feel if you're faking care for sure. Yeah. And business wouldn't last for very long if that's the modus operandi, so to speak.
Yeah. No, it wouldn't. It wouldn't. And the other thing that a lot of people don't think about for, you're working with people through their lifetime. I've been in this industry for over 25 years. I've had clients for that long. And you're going through them with their life transitions. And there's a lot of people now that I'm talking through the next phase. And that next phase includes, whether it's independent living or assisted living or full nursing home care. I mean, I was recently one of the first phone calls when, somebody found their mom unconscious in their house and they went to the hospital, and I'm talking them through, let's get to assisted living after this so that she has somebody to, watch her and take care of her in case she needs something. And there's a whole, obviously, financial thing about that, because you could say, all right, well, how can we afford this? How do we pay for this? And what type of facility can she afford? But there's also the emotional human side of it. Like, is that a good place for her? Like, you hear all sorts of things about some of these places. You want to make sure that the family who lives all over the place is going to have peace of mind knowing that she's in a good, independent living or assisted living type of community.
Yeah, absolutely. That just reminds me, like last year we lost my father, and that was almost like the first phone call that was made was to the financial advisor and CPA. Was okay, Gary's his name, and great guy, and was able to kind of walk through, because my dad was the one that handled all the finances, and my brothers and I and my mom, we had to like figure things out. Luckily, he did a really good job, but having Gary there to then say, oh, well, we also need to look at this, and gave my mom like what she needed to do as well. And it was really a lifesaver, and just a really nice thing for that financial advisor to do for the family.
Yeah. And that's what a lot of people don't know, that we do that, right? They only think of, oh, well, you're picking the stocks, bonds, mutual funds, things like that. And that actually is the smallest part of the job anymore, because you're so involved with the family, or at least I am. I get so involved with the family and really try to take the time to find out, all right, what's going on in your life. Like when we do our reviews with our clients, we talk about the portfolio last. One of the first things we talk about is, how's your health? What's going on? Have you had your annual, whatever it is, just a checkup, or if it's, mammogram for women, things like that. What are you doing? Is there any new medication? Just, we try to make sure that if there's any important things they need to talk about, we talk about it. The other thing we focus on is making sure, or trying to encourage our clients, which this is a challenge sometimes, updating their powers of attorneys, updating their wills. I can't tell you how many times I've talked to people about like, hey, I'm a little concerned. let's get your power of attorney for your healthcare, for your financial stuff up to date. And some of them are great. They're like, yeah, you're right. We need to do that. And others are dragging their feet, dragging their feet. And then I see health in decline. And once they get to a certain point, there's nothing I can do. So I spend a lot of time trying to encourage family members and clients to update those types of documents so that we can continue on the financial care when they're getting, their health care taken care of.
Yeah, absolutely. And that I will double down on what you just said on that. Having those documents in place is so critical. And I'll go back to when my father died. He had a stroke, was unconscious, was on a ventilator, and was basically brain dead. And he had a very specific do not resuscitate DNR order that included do
Mhm.
not incubate, do not take extraordinary measures, and that made the decision so much easier. And the doctor was like, "Well, we have the document here. It says we need to take the tube out and allow what nature will allow what will happen." And that just took so much pressure off the family of having to, and my mom, to make that decision, which was hard anyway
Yeah.
to see that.
Yeah.
But having that document
That
and knowing exactly what dad wanted was so important.
Well, he gave you a gift by doing that because it is so emotional. There's so much guilt when you have to be the decision maker on that, even if it is the right decision, because, if you said your father was brain dead, I mean, there's not a lot of decisions to be made there, but it's still a decision to say, yes, let's proceed with, extubating and
Yeah.
all the other things that are keeping him alive. It's difficult to make that decision. I've been part of those decisions. Even though you know what's right for them, you have to say it, you have to proceed with it. And you also, when you're having those powers of attorney, it's also important to, when you say he assigns you as his power of attorney, he needs to talk to you about that. And even though thankfully he had it in writing, but he has to make sure you're comfortable with being able to pull the trigger essentially
Mm.
when needed, because some people can't do it. So you have to pick somebody who's willing to listen to what your wishes are, not what they're comfortable with.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it wasn't me, it was my middle brother who was the black sheep of the family
Okay.
growing up, which I thought was really interesting that my parents have he's a great guy now, my brother,
Yeah,
but they chose him as the power of attorney, and it was still a hard decision for sure, but yeah, dad gave us a gift
absolutely.
by doing that. Awesome. What other
Yeah.
things, well, having a heart-led business is great. I talk to a lot of business owners that struggle with the profit side or the money side of the business itself. What kind of advice can you give to those that are like, "Oh, I just want to give everything away for free and not charge what I'm worth, or just want to go into their passion project and just hope and pray that the profits will come?" What type of advice would you have for those folks?
Oh, I will say it's about progress, not perfection, because I am constantly struggling with this myself. And I've had a lot of coaching, and that's something I would recommend. Get a coach, a business coach who's going to guide you through those conversations. I raised my fees last year, I think it was last year, for the first time in over 25 years.
What?
It took me, yes, yes, yes. Well, my industry is also, fee conscious, right? But I mean, for years, I would do financial planning. While I was at a firm where I was previously, I wasn't allowed to charge for financial planning, even though I hold a CFP designation, a certified financial planner designation. I was not allowed to charge for financial planning. So I was like, oh, this is weird. So when I started my own business, thank you for independence, I eventually started charging, but I charged so little, it was a joke. And I finally had the coaching that I needed to say, hey, you know what? My time is worth something. My experience is worth something. And if you don't, I have to show you the value in it. And, what I add value to your situation is worth way more than what I charge for your financial planning. So, I mean, I have struggled with that, but I have finally gotten to the point, and it took me years, Tom. I have finally gotten to the point where I am like, I am not working for free. No one else works for free. Why should I work for free?
Right.
I can't. I can't. Now, I will rat on myself and say I have the friends and family thing where it's, yeah, sure, I'll look at your 401k, or yeah, I'll do a quick financial plan, so that we at least have a guideline for you. Yes, I still do that every once in a while, but for the most part, I am like, nope, we have to charge a fee.
Yeah. No, and that's fair too. It's an exchange of value. They're receiving
Yeah,
value from you. You should receive value from them as well. So 20 years without raising rates.
I
That's
know.
criminal, actually. You're going to be,
Well,
it's
I will tell you, it was so painful, that conversation when you're raising fees in my world. It's so painful because I'm like, I have to take care of my people, right? I call them my family at this point because they've been with me for so long. And I was almost embarrassed, but I'm like, all my expenses have gone up so much since COVID, just like everyone else. And I put it off as long as I could. And I was just like, all right, I'm going to do this, and I hope I never have to do it again. So,
well, come on, Regina,
fingers crossed.
because like people get a raise every year when they have a job.
Yes, they do. Yes,
Usually,
they
I
do.
mean, it depends. So
Yeah.
why not independent, business owners? You should
Yeah,
get it every
exactly.
year as well. Yeah, it just makes
Oh, I hear
I
you.
totally
I hear
understand
you.
because I had a fitness training business for 10 years in Houston, and that was exactly, "Oh, I can't raise my rates. Like, how could I?" And it took me 5 years before I did the first one, and then it was like every other year I would just
Yeah.
raise rates. So
Yeah,
we got
good for
used
you,
to it.
good for you.
Yeah.
I finally got there. I finally got there. It took me a long time. So my advice is get business coaching done sooner rather than later, to help you with those conversations, to help you with that process, to help you with what the plan is and the process is for that.
100%. That's the best advice that I've heard so far. Yes. I'm sure you feel this way, possibly just working for yourself, but as entrepreneurs, we oftentimes just feel very alone because it's hard to talk to friends and family that don't own a business. And,
Yes.
we
Yes.
need that support system, whether it be a coach, a mastermind, other like-minded business owners to be around to know that we're not crazy, that what we're doing really
Yeah.
does matter.
I it is so glad that you said that, because being an entrepreneur is one of the loneliest things I've ever done. And because you're right, you can't talk to people about it because they have no clue what it's like. And so, yes, I do belong to a couple masterminds with, other business owners in my own industry so that we can, help each other out with conversations and, what are you doing about this? What are you doing about that? It's very lonely.
Doing the right things to make it less lonely and to learn from others and do all that is really, really important as well. What other kind of pleasant surprises have come about in your business by being a heart-led entrepreneur versus profit-led?
I would say when families bring other family members to me because they know I'm doing the right thing for them, and they literally introduce me as, I'm thinking of one of my long-term clients, and he's like, "This is Regina, she's my girl." I'm like, "That is the best introduction." He said, "She'll take care of you." It's like the best introduction ever.
Oh my gosh.
And it's known that, like, I've been working with them forever. So yeah. So it's very, very cool when I get an introduction like that.
Yeah. Do they typically refer other family members or are they referring business associates or friends and all that as well?
Friends and family members, yes. And this particular person introduced me to other people who worked at his company. Like, he worked for a major organization, and he introduced me to a couple other people at that same organization. So it was really, really a cool experience when he would introduce me that way. So cool.
Regina, my girl.
My girl, you got to talk to her. She'll take good care of you.
That's your new
I'm like,
business card.
yes, thank you. Can I put that on there?
Yeah, exactly. I'm your girl.
Yeah, I'm the girl. I'm the girl.
So,
Oh.
and referrals are one of the ways that that you're doing the right thing by your people as well. If you're not getting referrals in your business, you're probably not really that heart led, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Mm.
Yeah. And I also get referrals from attorneys because I work with divorce
Oh, yeah.
attorneys for the other stuff that so I get referrals from them as well and some mediators too. So that just reinforces that I'm doing the right thing. Because they're seeing how much I care about the client and how much work I put into making sure that we have everything covered for our discussions and what's right for them. So when I get a referral from the professionals, I feel like, wow, okay, they realize the value I'm adding, and I'm going to keep doing that so that I don't disappoint them, right? So it just like levels it up even a little bit more.
Absolutely, because if business partners are referring and then stop referring people to you, know that there's an issue.
That's not
Yeah,
good.
not good at all. So
Ugh.
besides not raising your rates in 20 years, what other kind of challenges have come about by being really heart led in your business?
I'm going to say bringing new staff on. I am extremely selective. I look at somebody and I say, could I put them in front of my client? And the answer is no, most of the time. It was after COVID when I needed to hire somebody, and I literally interviewed people who were licensed and in my industry. And I was just like, I can't put a single one of these people in front of my clients. I would never trust them with my clients. It was just an awful experience. And I kept thinking, all right, well, is it me? Am I the problem? Am I being too picky? But it was like, no, there's an ethical thing here, and there's a work ethic. And, I put so much of my heart and soul into something. I don't want somebody who's just going to show up and, show up as in, just show up for the job and that's just a job to them. This is not a job to me. This is my passion. So yeah, I think finding staff that reflects me, reflects my values, and reflects my mission for what I do has been the hardest thing to do.
So were you able to fill that position?
Eventually, it took me a while.
How long did
It
it
took
take
me
you?
a while. About 2 years.
Oh my,
About 2
oh
years.
jeez.
Yeah. No, I am not kidding you. And I even paid a recruiting company to help me,
Yeah.
and the people they found were awful too. So I was just like, you know what? I'll just do it myself until I can find, somebody who I can feel that I could trust, that I know I would not be embarrassed to sit in front of my client. So yeah, it took me 2 years.
Well, and good for you for not lowering your standards as well, because a lot of business owners over the last couple of years have struggled with that same thing, getting really good employees, and so then they just go, oh, I just need somebody to breathe, be
Yeah.
here, and it's kind of sad in terms of just, and I've seen that in terms of the service industry, especially. I mean, it's not the same as it used to be, 5 years ago.
No.
Yeah, it's
I hear you.
yeah.
I hear you. I hear a lot of people talk about that, and I have friends who are in the HR area, and they all have been saying over the past year they're literally getting rid of all those hires
Mm,
because they were not the right people.
yeah, yeah. Well, the old saying is hire slow, fire fast.
True.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
true. Yeah. Hard to
yeah.
do, but
Very.
looking back, that is really, really.
I think 2 years is on the extreme side there, though.
I
But wow,
know. Oh my
like,
gosh. It was rough. It was rough. I was working some crazy hours, but we got through it.
good. And they're still with you, I hope?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah. Yeah. We're full staff right now. So, counting my lucky stars.
that's awesome. Yeah, I think that's the big thing for business owners as well, is staffing is usually the number one or number two stressors in the business, yeah, for sure, and
Hmm.
me as well. So
Yeah,
that's
yeah. And it's hard too because I know how to be an advisor and a financial advisor and a financial planner. Like I've been doing it for so long. But I've only been a business owner for 9 years, which is a long time,
yeah,
but it's a whole new world.
yeah.
I'm learning every day. I'm learning something new about being a business owner. So I, I'm open to that, but it is a challenge.
Yeah, well, it should be a learning experience every day as well. And I love making mistakes in business as well, because or failures having failures in business, because it's that becomes one of the best learning experiences. And and to your point about taking so long to hire somebody, like that's I made lots of failures in that hiring process before as well, and I totally sympathize with you on
Yeah,
that.
yeah, yeah. But we do learn more from our failures than our mistakes. So it all
Yeah.
works out somehow. That's what we tell
It
ourselves
does.
anyway.
Yeah, it does. It does. And finding the right person as well, and then taking care of those employees as much as you can, as much as they will accept your care as well, just makes the business better and makes the client service better too, I think. Do you agree with that, or like what's your take on?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, because you want your people, your staff to be a reflection of you. So you want to hire like-minded people and you want your clients to feel that same vibe that they get from you, from your team. So wholeheartedly agree with that.
Yeah. And it's hard, I just had to let somebody go today, actually. And it's
Oh,
hard because, you put, I felt anyway, that I put a lot into that employee and offered a lot of, I don't know what you call allowances, so to speak, in terms of, time off and all that. And then, to learn that, they're going behind your back and doing something else that goes against company policy. It boggles my mind.
yeah, it
Yeah.
does. It does.
But
And it's personal, so too, because it's your
yeah,
business.
exactly. And it's hard to divorce that piece of the business from the personality. I think I've gotten a little bit better over time. Like
Yeah.
anytime I lost a client in my fitness business, I was like, oh, what happened? Was it me? Like, no, they moved away. They couldn't.
Yeah, 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 you can't change that. But you do try to learn, like, you do try to learn from it. Like, I always tell, if I have something that doesn't work out well or a client experience, I always try to learn from it. Like, well, what could I do better next time? What was the problem here and how do I correct it for the next time?
Yeah, absolutely. And that's actually something that we do at my company now is we do after action review. So I took that kind of that philosophy from the army. Not that I was in the army, but I read a lot of army book management books. But they and after action review is just looking at everything that went on that client or why they might have left, and there's no judgment. It's all about learning from what the failure was, or even if it wasn't a failure, doing that after action review is really important to look at the decisions that you've made, and if they were good, bad, indifferent, what you can learn from them.
Yeah, for sure. Absolutely.
Well, Regina, how can people learn more about you and your business?
Well, they can go visit my website. I'm at www.com. I also am active on social media with Facebook and Instagram at Forge Wealth, and also have a YouTube channel, Forge Wealth again. So I'm a little bit everywhere. So that's how you find me.
Awesome. Well, we'll link all that up into the show notes as well. And are you only practicing in Pennsylvania, or do you have a license in other states?
Yeah, I am able to practice in other states. I am primarily I am located in Pennsylvania, but I have clients all over the country and different states and whatnot. So I can do that. I do love meeting people in person, although I still also work with Zoom. So that's the one good thing about COVID. It showed us that we can do more outside of that little box of the office. So that has opened up our world a lot more.
That's awesome. And are you a fiduciary financial?
Yeah, so I'm a CF, so I have ethical considerations as well. But most of my business is fee based, so you have to act as a fiduciary. Which honestly, I think is funny that it is now a big thing that we have to be a fiduciary and do the right thing for our client. Because I'm sorry, haven't I supposed to be doing that for the past 28 years?
Yes.
Is this really that new? But it's a big buzz thing right now. So I'm like, okay, yeah, I'm doing it, but I have been.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it takes a few bad apples to spoil the bunch, right?
Oh, I
So
know. I know. I
I
know.
was.
But it concerns me too because now it's the buzzword,
Mm,
and
mm.
I'm pretty sure Bernie Madoff was a fiduciary. So you got to still be careful. I'm not sure, but I heard that he was. So I'm going to
Well, isn't he in
be
jail
careful about
now?
that. He is in jail, thankfully.
So
Yes. But
that's
and
the
there
law
are
protected.
yeah.
Well,
Right, right. But here's the thing, like with any industry, you're going to have your good guys and your bad guys, and you just have to interview a couple people and get a feel for who they are and what they're, how they're going to help you and see if they're the right fit for you. And that's where you have to start.
Yeah, 100%. Well, cool. Regina, thank you so much for coming onto the show today and sharing your stories and your wisdom with the audience. I certainly appreciate it. And I know our audience appreciates it as well.
It was absolutely my pleasure. Thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely. And to our show listeners and viewers, thank you also very much for showing up today and listening to the episode. I hope you got some good nuggets out of our talk with Regina today. And also, please go ahead and check out everything that Regina is doing. We'll link all that up into the show notes so you can easily get to that. Just click on those show notes and look for her stuff there. And if you could do us one big favor, and that would be to share the show with somebody that could use the advice that Regina has shared with us today, I certainly would appreciate it. I know Regina would appreciate it as well. So go ahead and share that show and share the love with other people in your life. And until next time, lead with your heart.
You've been listening to the Heart-Led Business Show, hosted by Tom Jacobs. Join us next time for another inspiring journey into the heart of business.